impact alert update. As downpours this morning are causing flash flooding, evacuations, and travel issues for parts of the area and the river valley. Of course, we need to start with the latest from our weather team. Meteorologist Stephen Elmore has been watching radar for hours, tracking the aftermath of that too. So what can you share with us right now, Stephen?
Yeah, in northwest Arkansas, most of the river valley, it's that moderate rainfall that we have out there right now. Heavy at some times. Really what you see here is yellow popping up there. That's some heavier rainfall in Washington County, parts of Benton County. And then you got some rainfall here in anywhere between Franklin, Johnson, and Logan County as well. Really what we've been focusing on, though, as the latest information, the most needed information right now, is that our friends there in Sequoia County that have been dealing with the flooding so far this morning, probably this morning picked up anywhere between 4 up to 7 inches of rainfall, are about to get additional heavy rainfall just in the next few minutes or so, if it's not already raining there in Sallisaw right now. Definitely northern Sequoia County seeing that heavy rainfall right now as we continue to track this cell that's moving into Sequoia County right now. So we start in northwest Arkansas, you see that moderate rainfall. Flash flood warning continues there in Siloam Springs. Good news is you're in Siloam Springs, you maybe have some flooding in your backyard. Most of the rainfall, more than likely, is done for now. Some scattered showers could be possible a little bit later on this afternoon. I want to directly focus on this, though. This is a look at Sequoia County right now along that Crawford County line as well. Heavy rainfall stretches across the northern part of Sequoia County from Evening Shane to Brushy, but just north of Vian, just north of Sallisaw, and just north of Muldrow. You travel there across 64 and parts of I-40 as well, going east and west. That's where we're about to see additional heavy rainfall coming down so far. So again, this is that area that we picked up anywhere between 4 up to 7 inches of rainfall since this morning. It's been this slow-moving system that's had a lot of rainfall coming down, and it's been staying over the same area for a while as well. Unfortunately, as those crews are doing the evacuations there at the Boys and Girls Club, just for precaution, but also we've heard reports of stalled vehicles. We've heard reports of flooded roadways. Unfortunately, we're going to add a little bit more rainfall. We could pick up maybe another inch, if not a little bit more, because this is definitely the heaviest rainfall that we have right now. Unfortunately, it's moving into the last place it needs to right now, which is going to be the Sallisaw area. We take a look elsewhere across the river valley. Some scattered activity continues across parts of LaFleur County. A few scattered showers there in Scott County. Really, this cell that we'll be tracking as well with some heavy rainfall that's produced some flooding there in Franklin County, just southwest of Ozark. That is starting to die off just a bit, but now we're starting to see some more heavy rainfall that's moving through parts of Fort Smith along that Sebastian-Crawford County line. So eventually, Franklin County, you really follow the river moving east. That's where some additional heavy rainfall is going to be as well. Right now, my main concern is going to be Sequoia County, just because that polygon you see there, that is that flash flood warning, and it was upgraded to a considerable threat when it comes to damage. So it's not just your average flash flood warning. When they upgrade that to considerable, that means potentially life-threatening. That means potential damage to property. That definitely means we're going to see a lot of flooding in the roadways, but also especially the low-lying areas as well. Best advice during these situations, do not drive through that flooded water. We've already seen the reports, heard the reports that cars have tried and cars have failed. You more than likely will fail if you try to drive through that flooded water. It's going to just either stall your vehicle out or lift it up just a bit, and you're not going to be able to drive. There's no scenario where that is the better option rather than just driving away from the flooded water. But also, you want to try to get to some higher elevation if possible as well, just to avoid that water. Definitely don't get near it. Walk through it sometimes happens unless those emergency crews are trying to get this taken care of, trying to mitigate this as best as possible right now. So just best to let them do their job and stay out of the way as best as possible, especially there in Sequoia County. I want to show you another thing. This is a look over the past 12 hours, and we're going to do a deep dive of this and break down exactly who's seen the most rainfall. So pardon me if you see me stepping off screen here. I'm really just adjusting what we're seeing and where the heaviest rainfall has been so far. Two things that stand out to me. One, especially there in Sequoia County, but also there in Adair and Delaware County, western Benton County has seen some significant rainfall as well. Let's start with Sequoia County because that's where our crews are this afternoon, and that's where the heavy rainfall is coming down once again. You see this swath of red there stretching from Brent to Sallisaw to Muldrow, from Brushy all the way to the south side of Fort Smith into just north of Pecola as well, leading up to Fort Chaffee. This red swath that you see is more than likely at least 4 inches of rainfall, but more than likely anywhere between 4 up to 7 inches of rainfall have come down in this area just since this morning. And that total is going to climb because, again, this is the area that's going to be seeing the heavy rainfall that's coming down right now, essentially, in Sequoia County. So that number is going to even climb a bit higher. Definitely the worst of the reports that we've seen so far is going to be in Sallisaw. That's where you find some of the flooding as well, near Brent as well, some flooding. Gans as well, seen some of those flooding reports as well. Muldrow, haven't seen much as of right now, but you definitely got some of that heavy rainfall. And then you work closer towards the state line, south of Fort Smith, between Fort Smith and Pecola. We had at least 4, 5, 6 inches of rainfall as well that eventually led to some flooding in some low-lying areas. What I'm going to do here is query this swath, and it gives you an estimate of how much rainfall has come down in these areas. This isn't exact. This is, again, an estimate of what we've seen, but you kind of click around here and you go just south of Sallisaw, and what the estimates are showing, anywhere between 4, 5, maybe 6 inches of rainfall during this swath of heavy rain, and more is on the way right now. So that's where the main concern is for our folks there in Sequoia County. Let's go into Delaware and western Benton County because they also have one of those flash flood warnings, because even though the rainfall is not coming down right now, saw some very heavy rainfall earlier this morning. Stillwell had some heavy rainfall, Greasy as well. You work to Westville, not too bad, probably around an inch or a little bit more of that rain between Westville and Prairie Grove. And then you finally land at another one of these red swaths there in Delaware County, leading all the way up to the state line with Arkansas and the county line they share with Benton County. Gentry to Siloam Springs, this is where we found another 4, 5, 6 inches of rainfall since this morning. Definitely north of Siloam Springs area along Highway 43 leading up to 412. JBU, John Brown University campus, more than likely, you can find some ponding, you can find some flooding. Anytime we get this much rainfall, that's what's definitely going to be the case. So that's why you see that flash flood warning also still in effect for eastern Delaware County and western Benton County. That's going to continue until at least that water starts to subside just a bit. I move this a little bit further south. We're going to move to Franklin County now, where you don't see that red swath, but what you do see is that purple there, and that's estimating around 2 up to 3 inches of some rainfall has come down since this morning. And we got reports from the Emergency Management Office there in Franklin County that there was some flooding in the area. Haven't received an update for the past couple of hours, but at least we know that some flooding in some low-lying areas, of course, there in Franklin County, have dealt with some flooding as well, more than likely around that Highway 96 area, just southwest of Ozark, let's say between Ozark and Charleston, and including Lavaca, Barling as well. That's where we had another one of those areas of some very heavy rainfall that didn't move very quickly. So let's take it back to live radar, and this is showing you an update. Let's go back to Sequoia County. So we have crews right now in Sallisaw. Hopefully they're paying attention right now because we're about to get some heavy rainfall once again. Good news is that as this was in Delaware and Adair County, it had that what's called a special weather statement attached to it, where there was winds coming out of this thunderstorm around 40 up to 50 miles per hour. The thunderstorm part of it has weakened just a bit, right? No longer as much frequent lightning, no longer the strong winds that are associated with it. But now as it's starting to collapse, that's why we can feel some stronger winds. Earlier, we were talking to our newest reporter, 5 News, Bo Russell, and he was saying you could feel the wind starting to pick up just a bit. And I believe it because that is starting to collapse. Those winds are coming out of that thunderstorm, but now the rainfall is about to come down once again. This is looped over the past hour, and it's making a slight movement off towards the southeast, but still from county line to county line, it is going to affect all of Sequoyah County, from Gore to Vian to Sallisaw to Muldrow. It's not a huge swath of rainfall that's going to be picked up, but again, since it's collapsing, it's not moving very fast. So at least this heavy rainfall is going to be with us in Sequoyah County for at least another hour or so. I'd say by the time, let's say we get an hour from now, this is going to be pushing off towards the southeast. I don't know if it completely is done raining in Sallisaw, Muldrow, Brent, or Vian, but hopefully we start to at least decrease the heavy rainfall part of it. That's the hope, at least, right? I want to show you Futurecast, and this is going to give you an idea of what we expect throughout the rest of the day today. Good news is, by the time we get late this evening, sure, we could be still tracking a few thunderstorms here and there, but mainly into northwest Arkansas. Most of this rainfall comes to an end before we get to our next evening shows at 4, 5, and 6. Here's a look at 2:30 this afternoon. Still some heavy rainfall. Futurecast wants to pick up in LaFleur County. More than likely, it's picking up what's going to be in Sequoyah County right now. And by 2:30, that's what it would hopefully start to look like. Maybe still a few stray showers here and there in Sequoyah County. Scattered activity, though, really going to remain south of I-40 throughout the afternoon and into the start of the evening hours. You look at 4:30, most of that heavy rainfall is going to be south of our viewing area, but still some scattered showers should be expected across the river valley, at least through the early evening hours. By the time we get late this evening, most of that activity is done. Now, we do have the chance for additional thunderstorms in the forecast late this evening, talking about 8, 9, 10 o'clock. We're going to be watching a complex of thunderstorms in central Missouri moving south once again, and this is what Futurecast is picking up. By the time we get to 9 o'clock, maybe we have some stronger storms in Carroll, northern Madison County, Benton County possibly, but it's going to weaken on approach, and especially since we've picked up a lot of rainfall so far this morning, it's not going to have a lot of energy to play with. So I imagine at worst we see some strong storms. I doubt we see any severe thunderstorms though late this evening, just because of how much rainfall we've already picked up throughout the day today. You say, Stephen, I watch 5 News all the time. We watched last night when you were talking about today's forecast. This wasn't in the forecast, right? This heavy rainfall wasn't what you guys were saying. I understand the frustration. This can happen sometimes in the summertime where we get these pulse-up thunderstorms and they can cause these downbursts of heavy rainfall. Sometimes it produces some stronger winds at the surface level where it could cause some damage. Other times it can just absolutely pour. It feels like the floodgates have opened up and there's just a nonstop downpour of some heavy rainfall. That's what's happened here. As these thunderstorms collapsing, now it's just heavy rainfall coming down across these areas. So that's why I'm not concerned about the severe weather when it comes to this, but the flooding concern is definitely what we're seeing right now. We've been keeping close communication with the National Weather Service out of Tulsa, who follows Sequoyah County, who is responsible for Sequoyah County, and they've been constantly keeping us updated on the flooding situation from there and what they're seeing in Sequoyah. And good news is, as I think right now I haven't seen a lot of chatter about the rivers and the lakes in Sequoyah County over cresting. That's some good news. I think for the most part what we're dealing with at worst is some flooded roadways, definitely some flooded property as well. And hopefully once we get done with the rainfall that's in Sequoyah County right now, we would be done for the day. Definitely don't need any more of that rain there in Sequoyah. I show you the flood alerts that we have out there right now. Unfortunately, because this necessarily didn't play out as the forecast had it, we didn't have a flood watch in place for it, but we did have those flood warnings. As soon as about 9:30 this morning, we started getting those updates. So good news is, before that flooding occurred, those folks in Sequoyah County, those folks in LaFleur County, Sebastian, Crawford, and in Benton County had a little bit of advance notice from the National Weather Service out of Tulsa issuing those warnings. Now, one of those warnings in Sequoyah County was upgraded to that considerable threat. Again, what that means is that so much rainfall has come down in that timeline that now it's concern to life-threatening, now it's a concern to property. For the most part, outside of the Boys and Girls Club, our crews are down there right now learning more information as they talk to neighbors, as they talk to officials. We're going to hear from Bo Russell here in about 10 minutes or so. Is that 10 minutes till Bo? Okay, 10 minutes still. We're just talking to our director there in the booth. 10 minutes from now, we're going to toss it to Bo Russell, and he's going to have an update for us from the emergency managers there in Sequoyah County. Okay, that's a great update. So in situations like this, it takes an army of people, community comes together, right? My director's in my ear right now telling me that the reason why we aren't talking to the emergency manager right at this moment is because the emergency manager there in Sequoyah County is out filling sandbags, trying to mitigate that flooding concern in Sequoyah County. We love to hear those stories of the community coming together in times like this. Of course, flash flood safety here for you. Of course, try to get to higher ground, but when it comes to getting that higher ground, do not drive through that flooded water. The best case for you is to try to just find alternate routes. I know it can take a while. Sometimes a 2-minute drive can turn into a 30-minute drive when it comes to these flooded waters, because no matter how low it looks, you never know how deep it can go when it comes to that water. That water crosses over those roadways and you don't know what's below it. Sometimes there can be debris. You get nails, you get screws, you get branches, whatever it may be, something from somebody's yard. Then you have a flat tire on your hand, or you stall your vehicle, like we've seen reports already. Bo Russell was trying to get to Sallisaw, and on his way in with photojournalist Laura Castleman, what they were reporting to us is saying, hey, we're seeing stalled vehicles. So what that tells me is that some folks out there unfortunately attempted to drive through the flooded waters and their cars stalled out. So you want to try to avoid the driving through flooded waters. Just get to that higher elevation. Best case scenario, or best way you can help those emergency crews as of right now. Obviously, if you're away from the flooded waters, I'm sure they can use your help. If you're in the flooded waters or near it right now, stay at home. Don't drive around. Don't drive around to see other neighborhoods, how much flood waters they got, because then you're just taking up roads, space for those emergency crews to get around. And if you happen to get stuck as well, then they have to leave whatever they're working on to come help you because you decided to drive through the flooded waters. So that's the best case. That's the best advice that we have. Of course, you hear it all the time from the National Weather Service, from us. You probably just hear it every time during the spring season. Turn around, don't drown, never try to drive through those flooded waters. Let's give you one last look of current radar, and then I'm going to walk over to our anchor, Morgan Wrigley, and I think me and her are going to walk you through some videos and some photos that we have and some updates on those road closures here in just a little bit. I start with Sequoyah County. Heavy rainfall coming down right now in Sallisaw along Highway 40, just north of it, basically all of Sequoyah County. That's where the heaviest swath of some rainfall is right now. That heavy rainfall coming down, still in that flash flood warning, that's still at that considerable threat. So this is the heaviest rainfall in the worst area that we need it right now. Hopefully this can pick up some speed and move on out of here. You take a look elsewhere across the river valley, we've got some heavy rainfall coming down in Alma, Fort Smith area into southern Crawford County, northern Sebastian County. Keeping an eye on the time here. I know we got about 7 minutes until Bo Russell. Kibler, Alma, Van Buren, Fort Smith, Dora, Dyer area. That's where you could find some heavy rainfall as well. You take a look there in northwest Arkansas, some moderate rainfall. Nothing really stands out as super concerning to that picture as of right now. Let's get a wide look at things outside of really you see from, let's say, Dyer stretching all the way to the county line with Sequoyah. That is where that heaviest rainfall is right now, and that's where the flooded waters are already. So the hope is that at least cell can move on out of here pretty quickly, but at least for the next hour or so, that's going to be some pretty heavy rainfall. Making my way over to Morgan Wrigley. I think we have some photos, some information for us. I know you had some road closures as well. What do you got for us, Morgan?
Yeah, so of course we've been asking people to send in the pictures and videos of the heavy rain. We'll go ahead and take a look at some of those. This is some damage and flooding in Sallisaw. We showed you this video earlier on your 5 News at Noon. You can really just see how high the water has gotten. Of course, as we've been talking about, as you were talking about, the flood safety that it's important to keep in mind. Never drive into flooded roads.
Sure.
And I thought it was interesting you said it only takes 6 inches of water to knock you off your feet.
Yep.
1 foot of water will float a vehicle. 2 feet of flowing water can sweep SUVs and most vehicles away. So we see stuff like this.
It doesn't take much. I mean,
Yes.
you just see that video. That video is so impressive to me. More than likely, this is one of those low-lying areas where all the water water is going to collect at once. More than likely, I think that says Laura is her name. This is not the first time she's seen some of this flooding like this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in that front yard, I believe that was a mattress. Her trash cans are all over the place. Her grill is out there as well. So this is the type of damage to property that we can see. And that is the type of water that we say, absolutely don't drive through. But also, she's doing a very good job by not walking through it either, because you never know what that current is underneath. It doesn't take much for it to sweep you off your feet. And again, that's where we lead to issues where the emergency manager right now, he's out filling sandbags. No shot yet. Okay. If we have, if you're walking out into those flooded waters and you get swept away, then we're pulling emergency crews from what they're working on right now to help out something that could have been avoided. If you're away from the flooded waters right now, you're in Sequoyah County, it's best to just stay at
that
home.
way. Yes, and also another thing, we've of course been talking a lot about Sequoyah County. Franklin County Emergency Management is also reporting some serious flooding. They say on Highway 96 west of Ozark. They said possibly as deep as 5 to 6 inches. So again, getting to that line where it's definitely concerning.
Yeah, we got the report from Franklin County earlier this morning from the emergency manager there. You get into some low-lying areas, and that's where water can fill up pretty quickly there next to the river. I believe that's kind of southwest of Ozark, where the area he's talking about is. That's where we're seeing some flooding right now. But definitely outside of the Franklin County flooding that we're seeing, I've seen some reports and some cameras that we've seen of at least some heavy rainfall leading to some minor flooding in the Fort Smith area right now. Of course, it's very flood prone to that flooding as well. I haven't seen any major reports as of right now. As we progress throughout the day, and definitely by our 4, 5, and 6 o'clock newscasts, we'll have a better understanding of where else other communities had some of this flooding. But I know we're taking a look at kind of, you're seeing the same images right now from across the area, but I know we're going to get a lot more throughout the day of these images from Sequoyah County.
Yeah, and here's a stalled car on the side of the road. You were mentioning this earlier. This is a Kelly Highway.
Yep.
So we're looking at this too as well.
Yeah, Kelly Highway there. That was an accident earlier. I know crews have already responded to this accident. There was police there earlier. I didn't see any other crews there. But if police was there and they're not there anymore, that tells me whoever was in that truck more than likely is taken care of now. But this can happen as well. When we talk about the flooding, now we're just talking about, you've got hydroplaning concerns, you've got cars driving too fast, and then you can run into situations like this with these wet roads that you can have accidents like this. So of course, the reason why we're doing this live stream right now and trying to get that information as quickly as possible is the flooding concern. I'll tell you what, anytime that we see a flash flood warning, sometimes there's this conception, like a thought in our head that flash flood warning, it's not that big of a deal, right? Oh, we don't want.
We have them all the time.
We have them a lot, exactly. And most of the time, the first flash flood warnings we got, at least flood advisories this morning, was we picked up about 2 inches of rainfall, maybe another inch of rain. That was the messaging that we got. But then that turned into that flash flood warning for Sequoyah County. We had additional flash flood warnings issued for northern DeFleur, into Sebastian, into Crawford as well. But then that warning that was centralized over Sequoyah County, that kind of catches your eye, and it's doing its job by doing that, is flash flood warning, but then it says the damage threat up to considerable.
Here's another accident. This is not in the River Valley. This is here in Northwest Arkansas in Johnson Mill Boulevard. Exit 69, right here near the station, near Springdale. It's hard to tell what's going on, but it looks like I mean, it's definitely due probably to the conditions of the roads out there. It's slick, and there may be some flooding too. Yeah,
situations like this, even when you get these downbursts of heavy rainfall, it becomes very difficult very quickly to drive in these conditions. Unfortunately, that's where we see a lot of, we go from no accidents at all to 3 or 4 accidents very quickly, just because folks aren't expecting it, the intensity of that rainfall, until you're driving through it immediately. Like I was saying earlier, though, with that flash flood warning, we don't get that considerable threat very often. And the National Weather Service includes some really key information in there that catches the attention of not only emergency crews in the area, but also the residents that live in those areas as well. It was centralized over Sequoyah County, and that's where you read the text of life-threatening. That's where you read the text of damage to property possibly, and flash flooding, if not already ongoing, will happen soon. That was earlier today. Obviously, at this point now, just before 1 o'clock, and I know we got Bo Russell coming up here shortly, that's what ended up happening in Sequoia County, is that flooding, and now it's just getting through that rainfall that we have out there right now. I know those folks that are trying to get things cleared up do not need any more rain. Unfortunately, as I look over here at radar one last time, you can see the heaviest rainfall right now is in between, let's say, Crawford County, Northern Sebastian County, and all of Sequoia County as of right now.
Well, looking at the issues that we've had on the roads, Sequoia County Emergency Management has been really encouraging people to stay off of the roads, particularly these roads in the area that we know are prone to flooding. So they're telling us that these specific ones are ones that you want to avoid right now. So this is Golf Course Road to 4650, Highway 17, 1040 and Badgley Road west of Highway 17, 1070 and Shirley, and then Drake Road and Highway 141 east of South 59th. So really in all these areas, including Franklin County, even in Fort Smith, we know the areas that tend to flood. So as we've been repeating all day, it's best to avoid those areas.
Yeah, this is kind of the first reports that we got as well. As soon as because we follow the social media platforms as well, before we could get immediate photos or videos or whatever, we rely on you guys, the viewers, sending in those reports to us, and started to hear reports about Highway 17, started to hear reports about Highway 59. And we reached out to the community. I know our digital team did a fantastic job out there trying to get all the video, try to get all of the images collected. And we started to get some reports of, hey, my backyard is completely flooded right now. Obviously, this is kind of the video that you're going to see repeated on our station all day long because of how impressive it is. I don't say impressive in a bad way there, as in, can you imagine waking up and seeing your whole front yard completely filled with water? Unfortunately, this is one of those type of events where you just get absolute downpour of rain. You can see the rain intensity right there in that video, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah, and we've heard from some of these viewers that have sent in videos like this that this happens pretty frequently in those areas. So they are used to it. They probably know that they need to stay out of the way until that clears out. But yeah, and also like the tree damage that we see here, probably a testament to those strong winds that came along with this.
Yeah, we had some strong winds. At least the good news for me is that we avoided any severe thunderstorms throughout this process as well. These were marginal, weak thunderstorms, whatever you want to call it, but they didn't cross over the threshold. So the good news is we didn't have any damaging winds or hail associated with this, but we did have that flooding concern, and I wish we could have these situations, it's not forecasting anymore. It's tracking while we're in the moment, and this is leading to that flooding that has been very isolated to the River Valley, but also don't want to forget our friends there in western Benton County. Siloam Springs area has that flash flood warning right now. They haven't seen rainfall in a good 30 to 45 minutes or so, but that water can still rise, even if the rainfall's not coming down. And so Salem Springs, at least until that flash flood warning has expired.
Yes, in Sequoia County, I think Emergency Management recently posted on their Facebook that the flash flood warning there is extending until 2 o'clock p.m.
So we're going to take it back over to radar. We're still trying to get Bo Russell. He's trying to get that emergency manager. But obviously, crews are scattered across the county right now trying to help out people as much as possible. So whenever we can get Bo, you guys just let me know, and we'll go ahead and send it over to him. All right, so here's another look at radar. Again, if there's good news out of the day today, is that other communities outside of Sequoia County, Northwest Arkansas, parts of the River Valley, haven't all seen this heavy rainfall. It hasn't been a whole swath that's completely taken over the entire area, and everybody's dealing with flooding. But those who have dealt with it is right on eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, those county lines shared with LaFleur and Sequoia, Crawford, and Sebastian. That's where the flooding has been. So let's take another closer look into Sequoia County, and not only Sequoia County, but also I'm going to adjust this a bit because I'm starting to see some of that heavy rainfall rate pick up there in Crawford and Sebastian County as well. So you go from Alma on I-40, and you're driving west all the way across over the state line into Sequoia County, and then you work all the way through Sallisaw, all the way out to Gore. And that's where that heaviest rainfall is right now. Elsewhere across the area, some moderate rainfall right now. There can be some lightning strikes in these as well, but this is where the heavy rainfall is right now, and unfortunately it's centralized right over Sallisaw. And in Sallisaw is 5 News reporter Bo Russell. He has the latest information for us in Sallisaw.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and go to Bo right now. We know, as we mentioned earlier, he's at a city management facility, and that's where some crews are filling sandbags. He's kind of in the thick of the action right now, so we'll go ahead and go to Bo right now with the latest information for us.
Guys, okay, so I'm here with Brad Taylor with Emergency Management, and we're talking about it just started pouring again here in Sallisaw. So Brad, do you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on and what people should look out for?
Just look out for large amounts of water across the road. Don't try to cross over them or anything like that. There have been reports of some water getting inside of homes, and you know, like the Boys and Girls Club earlier, they safely evacuated all the kids out of there. They were at the fire department waiting to be picked up. And yeah, just don't try to cross the roads, especially if there's large amounts of water that can come over them very quickly.
And have you heard of, is anyone injured yet, or is it still pretty just, you know, water damage? What's kind of the extent of that?
There's no injuries that have came through for us. Now there were just a couple. It took EMS a little bit to get there due to, you know, closed roads due to the flooding. It was just unsafe for them to pass, but since then they have been reached and gotten to, and as far as now of my knowledge, all calls have been clear as far as any stalled or stranded motorist.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate your time. Remember, guys, keep an eye on your National Weather Service app. Make sure you're just keeping your ears open for any flood warnings, flood advisories, and stay out of deep water. Don't try to drive through water. Anything else, Brad?
You said it there. Try to stay informed with multiple sources of weather advisory apps and, you know, radios and your cell phone. Just keep an eye on the weather and how quickly it can change. That's
great. Well, live here in Sallisaw, covering news where you live, I'm Bo Russell, 5 News.
All right, thank you, Bo. Great job out there.
Yeah.
It's been quite a day for
Sure.
him trying to get down there. I'm glad to hear no serious injuries,
Yeah.
no serious reports of that, it sounds like.
Really, the big headline that we saw from Sequoia County that kind of caught all of our attention was the evacuation of the Boys and Girls Club. We didn't know what the exact situation was at the time. Really glad to hear since then is that they did that just in case that area started having higher flood waters.
Which is good, precautionary.
Exactly.
Glad that it wasn't due to some real imminent danger, but definitely important to take those precautions.
What a meteorologist likes to hear in these situations is people hearing that heavy rainfall is coming and that the flooding is going to be coming, and they take precautions. And it seems like so far, outside of a few stalled vehicles there in Sequoia County, for the most part, we're looking okay right now, and I'm glad to hear no injuries. Let's take another tour of radar, and then we'll wrap things up here in Northwest Arkansas. Let's talk about Washington, Madison, Carroll, and Benton County. Some moderate rainfall right now. Heaviest is going to be centralized there in Washington County, but still not too bad out there right now. Of course, if you're driving anytime soon along I-49, you could run into some heavy rainfall as well. Really, what I want to take a look at, though, is between Sequoia and let's say Alma area is where you're going to find that heaviest rainfall right now. And that's what they're dealing with right now while they're filling up those sandbags. It's moving off towards the south. I think if you're in Sallisaw right now, give it another 30 minutes to 45 minutes or so, and at least the heavy rainfall should be coming to an end. Maybe still some moderate rainfall, though. You take a look elsewhere across the river valley, really that county line shared along the river there with Sebastian and Crawford County, so we're going to find additional heavy rainfall, and that line is just moving off towards the south. So we'll watch out for some stronger winds moving into Leflore County, but definitely if you're in northern Leflore County, Poteau area as well, that's where you could find some heavy rainfall in the next 30 to 45 minutes or so as that line continues to push off towards the south. Outside of that, really just focused on that flooding concern there in Sequoia County. I know we get flooding elsewhere across the area, but you see that considerable threat added to it. That's what starts to concern us, that's where you start to see some really tricky situations with that flooding. And I'm glad to hear the report from Bo and the emergency management there that as of right now, they're looking okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Stephen. And stay with 5 News and 5 News Plus. We'll continue to monitor the situation. Bo's, of course, out there in Oklahoma, so we'll keep you updated. And we'll also see you back on air and here on 5 News Plus at 4 today.